Sakamoto Days is a fairly new manga on the Shonen Jump scene. Well, I say fairly new, but since 2020 counts for like 7 years, you can take that as you like. But I've wanted to talk about this series since I started this channel, and since it's getting an anime soon, I kind of wanted to beat the bandwagon a little before YouTube is just flooded with Sakamoto content. So, minor spoiler warning on this. I won't give away any massive plot details, but some panels used for dramatic effect will be shown without context, so there's your heads up. So, it's a manga about Taro Sakamoto, the best assassin in the world, who is amazing at his job to the point of ridiculousness. One day he went to buy lunch from a grocery store and he fell in love with the store clerk. They eventually got married, had a kid, and Sakamoto not only left the assassin game, but he also let himself go and grew a nice little mustache. Hey, look at that, it's nice. He also promised his wife he would never kill again, which only really becomes a problem when hits start getting put on his head, supposedly coming from the organisation that he used to work for. Several assassins get sent his way, and he has to best them while keeping his promise to his wife and not killing them. Because of this, in typical shonen fashion, several of the assassins end up becoming friends of Sakamoto, and they end up working in his store, making this the most dangerous convenience store in Japan. Really surprised that they haven't done a someone tries to mug the store bit yet, but maybe it's a little too easy. New assassins on Sakamoto's team include a kid who can read minds, an heiress to a Chinese fortune, an ex-triad, and the best sniper in the world, along with his pet bird. With a cast like this, you can imagine the absolute shenanigans they get into, and the fights are pretty good if a little obscene. Since it's good to know what you're getting into, the action is sort of like, what if you took John Wick and mixed it with a bit of Baki the Grappler and threw a little more cartoon logic in there, and that's what you get. That's the fight scenes in Sakamoto Days, pretty much. However, the fights specifically are not what impresses me the most about this manga. What really gets me is the art. Now, what I've shown you so far is pretty good, pretty serviceable actually for most shonen manga, but there's a technique that's employed that I've never actually seen in manga before, and it's utilised well, that being the use of pencil, or how pencil specifically is used in this series. So, it's never outwardly explained to you what the use of pencil implies in this manga, but I think that's for the better. Whenever pencil shading is used, it's done to break you away from the typical shonen vibe and give you a sense of uneasiness. If someone has pencil shading around them, from what I can gather, it's meant to serve as how intimidating they are. Think the malice signs around the character from JoJo, but like a million times more subtle. The reason I bring this up to you is because it's used in such an amazing way and is used as a point of reference as well, subconsciously, for the main villain when he finally appears in full. Get this, so here's what normal Sakamoto Days art is. And here is when a character is scarier and wants to intimidate someone. Notice the increase in shading. Ooh, this guy is probably gonna kill you. It's so scary. Now, keeping in mind this and everything else I've said about this, this is the setup for the first time you see the main villain. Remember, we're looking for pencil shading here, so keep an eye out. You might blink and miss it. Shin is running through the halls of a collapsing building, using his mind-reading powers to find people who are still trapped inside. He hears two voices up ahead, yet he only sees one man, sitting there calmly despite the chaos. He goes to get a closer look and his senses are overwhelmed by something. The only explanation we get is that we turn the page and are met with this. This is the first time in the series that an entire page is drawn in pencil, and the second time an entire panel is drawn in pencil, it's when Shin reads this guy's mind and sees an image of him and his companion getting instantly murdered before he can do anything about it. You now understand. The man sitting on that box is the most dangerous man in the entire series, well, except for maybe this old dude. All because of something that the mangaka, Yuto Suzuki, subtly puts into your head as the series goes on. and I think that's a stroke of genius on his part. Though this does pose a problem of how they are going to adapt this series into an anime. Maybe they can use like the painting aesthetic like Mob Psycho does? I don't know, I'm not an artist. Overall though, I just wanted to talk about this series. There's a lot to love here if you're a fan of shonen already. Also, it's really cool having an overweight, middle-aged MC instead of yet another black-haired generic twink. Suzuki clearly puts thought into how he wants each panel to weave the narrative, and he uses a unique art technique to do that, and I think that's pretty neat. It does start a little slice of lifey, and I know that puts some people off, so I'd say give it 10 chapters. They're fast paced and it won't take long, and if you don't like it after that, drop it. Subscribe. I talk about recommended anime, manga, manhwa, video games, all sorts of media, so if that's your thing, stick around. Also, leave a comment. I like to respond to those. Peace.